Let's see the quick demo of API authentication using Keycloak. So here my application is running, and this is my Keycloak hosted in my local, and also this is my API which is authentication using with Keycloak authentication. So let me open first now Keycloak. So once you click that Keycloak, so it is asking to actually your username and password. So once you username and password, let me username and that password. So once you username and password, you will able to see that UI of Keycloak, and here you can see that manage all things you can manage. And this is my client, so there's a many clients over here. There's a scopes, and also this is actually using this Keycloak authentication in our dotnet API. So let me open my API. So here's my API, and in this API there's a couple of APIs I just build over here, like product API and weather forecast API. And once you try to get this API without any key, and also definitely you will get this 401, right? So unauthorized. So once you get that token, so once you get the token and pass the token, that API will authenticate it. So how you can get the token you can get using that, there is a client where you can just get the token, and here I just set up everything. And once you create a token, so let me create a token. So once you create a token, it is asking to the users. So let me add that user, my user, whatever my user. So mention your username and password. Once you're done, now see it is authenticated, completed. User is valid user, and once you valid user, you will get that token. So once you get the token, use this token. In this token itself, I assigning this token is particular API, and once you hit enter, now you are able to get that data, right? So same things you can just check for your other endpoint, like post that product endpoint. So as of now, without token, if I asking that request, so I'm getting that 401. But once you add this token, so where is my token? Here I just generated my token. So let me just copy this token and assign to in this API, product API. So go to here, replace that, and once you replace that and hit enter, now you are able to see you are getting the, you are authorized, and you are get that response. Same things you can try to other endpoint, like for post endpoint. So if you're trying to post new data, for example I want to add a new product, so let me try to, here I'm unauthorized. So once you assign that token which I just generated newly, and once you try to send it, now see, now newly t-shirt got created, means new product got created. And same things I can check over here, like that new data is available or not. Yeah, so new data is available over here. And now I want to try to put that request, means that I want to update that request. So if I trying to do without authentication, so definitely I will get that 401. But once you pass that authentication, now here I'm part the authentication, and also need to change to ID, because the newly ID got created for that t-shirt, it is 3, and this is the data. So let me just copy this, so that I want to modify this to in our put call. So go to that body section and change it to this, and yeah, change to t-shirt name to, like, for example, update, and also update to price like 150, and also let me update. Okay, so once you update, now hit enter, now it's got 201 204, that means it is got updated. That we can verify again, get call. So once you get call, now see the new data, it's got properly update with this new data. And also same things we can try for the delete endpoint, like I want to delete that product but without authentication, so definitely it will get that 401. And once you pass your authentication, valid authentication token, so if you pass that token, okay, not this one, so let me get that token from existing API and just change it to over here and send it to here with this right product key. So once we see enter, now see it's 201, that means the product got deleted, that we can ensure in here. Yeah, now product got deleted, so now we have only two product, right? So that's how actually we will implement, like we will implement an API, and which API also will authenticate using that Keycloak, and which is also hosted in our local. So everything we will do in this session. So yeah, before we start this implementation, I especially recommend if you first time visit my channel, so go to my channel, which is .NET real world example, and here you can see there's a many things over here. If you want to learn, you can learn it over here, like AI integration in .NET application, or front end application, back end application, as a full stack developer which you want. So everything is available over here. And also in few month ago, actually I just built authentication in Blazor and all .NET, so you can also check that session, like authentication. So yeah, once you search this auth in my channel, so definitely you will get this. See, this complete app, actually authentication authorization I build in the API with Blazor application, so you can check out. And also I'm using that Firebase authentication and all everything. So yeah, you can learn many things over here. Now moving to start to implementation. So first let me create a new project from that scratch, so that I can show you like how we can implement or integrate your key lock. So let me create a new project. So yeah, if you want to create a individual .NET API project or any API .NET project, so you can create, but yeah, I'll using the Aspire because it have many new features. So create that and Aspire with the Keycloak project next. And yeah, if you want to whatever your version, you can check it, but yeah, I'll take it a default one whatever we have. Next. So once your application got ready, see, this is a default template of .NET Aspire, and here my API project is .NET API is over here. This is my hosting project, like app host project, and this is service, and this is web application. So we will integrate web application also, this key lock authentication, but that will do in next session. But first we have to understand first how we can authenticate in our API. So yeah, that we will do in a one by one, so that we can easily digest. So first what I can do, go to this app host project, right? And in here I'll just simply add that package. So go to that package. So this is that, and also currently it is a preview sections, it is a preview. So yeah, you can just try out. So install that, so apply that, accept that. Okay, so once you're done, now see, this is that package actually provide that Aspire hosting key lock. So we have to install this, and once you're done, now see, there's a also providing the some documentations in this package itself, how we can integrate and all. So that we want to do that, so save it, right? And yeah, one more thing actually before starting any implementation, so yeah, just import this package, but yeah, nothing implemented. But yeah, what I can do, I want to run this application, so that we can ensure our application is running. So let me run this application. Now your application got running, and you are able to see there is a two things over here, like one is the API service and one is the front end. Okay, so now this session actually we will implement authenticate in our API service. Later on we will implement the web application, so that will generate our token and all everything from that web application, that will pass it to in the API, so that authenticate and get the data. So that complete things we will do in later. But yeah, as of now, see, if I just run this API, so also there is a default the weather forecast actually over here. So this is the 10 point. Now see, I'm getting that response over here without anything, any pass authentication all, because currently does not implement anything. Okay, so yeah, I think that is pretty much good for this application, like as a default template. So let me try to implement that. So for that implementation, I already import that package, right? And after that, go to that app host project, and in here first actually we have to host it in our keylock environment, right? So for that actually we are as a mechanism the .NET Aspire provide. So we using that actually we can just host it. So simply I can use this this extension method, which is providing builder.add key lock. Okay, and pass your container name and your port. Okay, so once you pass that, it will just start or hosting in your local using in a Docker container or any Postman container, right? So up to you, like whatever you have that either you Docker or Podman, so both up to you, fine. So yeah, this is the way actually you can just simply hosted your local the Keylock. And second thing actually, we can show you one more thing. So there is also, if you want to persistent right in your Keylock host environment, so you can just use this Boolean, so that Boolean can persist your data, like it don't be actually restart or reset that all the data. So using that Boolean, so that whatever your data and all, it will keep in persistent in that container. Okay, so yeah, I'm using that bit Boolean over here, that's it. And yeah, one more thing we will add actually, that username and password. So also we have that provide ability to provide that feature, but yeah, let me just run this first. So once you run, and application trying to running over here, yeah, so now it's running. Now see, it is unhealthy. So if it is unhealthy, so if you go to that console log, so now it's trying to see, it's trying to create a container and all, everything is just try to set up. And meanwhile, if you just open your Docker or any or Postman, right, so you will see in this container that, see, that key lock container actually just trying to create it over here using that port, whatever port we have mentioned, right? So once you complete, if you see over here, so now they're trying to complete. So once they will complete, as of now we have not mentioned any username and password, so they are taking this default one and as a random one. So if you go back to over here, now see, it is running, right? So once you running, let me just click it over here. So once you run, now it will trying to over here. So as of now, see, whatever username by default, actually it is provided username admin, so where you can get that. So if you go back to the dashboard and click on this section, so you will see there is a environment setup over here, like environment value. So if you just over here just key, so see, by default its name is admin, right, and password is this default password. Okay, so using that actually you can just log in that. So let me try to log in. So what is my username? Username is admin, password is this, which I just copy from there, and sign in. So once you sign in, now you are able to see this is that by default actually they are realm, the default realm is this master, but yeah, we'll just create new one which will integrate in our API and our application. And there's a couple of section actually, this Keycloak UI provided. And there's a manage section, client section, client scope, and realm roles, and users group and all, right? So everything we will use, then you can get that idea what that means and all. So yeah, the main part actually here, this client. So whatever client actually, if you want to use it, like you will open ID connected, so here you can just create that client, and whatever is scope like audience and all, right? So whatever things actually is a scope, this particular client, so we have to create it over here. And then whatever that user, like see, by default is an admin user, but if you want to create your own user, so you can just create it here as a user. So yeah, I think that's sufficient for this Keycloak intro. So let me just go back and to your application. So your application is got running, means your Keycloak setup is completed, right? So once you're done, now one more thing actually, see the default password, right? So that you can just change it using this way, like you can forcefully set your password. Okay, so how we can do that? This simple, like there's a parameter, provide this aspire. So let me just create this two add parameter, like one is that username, another one is password, and also set as a secret key, like it should be stored in the secret. And also you can just mention your value, like I just mention admin and admin. Okay, and not only this, actually if you want, you can just use that application, secret over here, like manage user secret. You can add your secrets over here in this project itself. Okay, so like this way actually you can just add it, and once you add it, now you can just mention your username and password in this hosting, the Keycloak hosting. So like this way you can just pass it your username. So now this time it will won't create always the random one, so it will maintain this one only. Okay, and yeah, this is the one. And now one more thing, actually the very important, this key lock, actually they providing that import feature, import and export feature. So as of now, uh, just by default it's just got created without any client and all, right? But what we want to create, or create that client, particular client which we have to use in our application, particular scope which we want to use our application, right? And that user and all. So user and all we can keep it, leave it as of now, but I'll just create this client and client scope using that import function. Okay, so how we can do that? For import function, you can just use another method which using that with the realm import extension. Okay, so let me just use that one. Yeah, so like this way, see, using this extension method and pass where you have that file. Okay, so I have to create a folder, they look like this root folder, using this realms, and you can just mention your file, that JSON file which can create your realm and along with their client and scope, right, without creating as a manually, right? So that we have to do that. So let me stop that. So I have already that file, and it is also available in the official website, right? So I'll just share it with you, you can take it over here. So let me just copy that complete file in my source. So let me just copy here and just paste it over here. Okay, so now see, this is that folder which is name on realms, and inside that we have that file which is just any name. It's does not matter what is the name. So import realm data. So if you just open it, now see, which have the data, actually what is that realm, right? The realm name is weather shop, like which we have to use it, and inside that weather shop there's a couple of roles here, the roles, right? And in this roles we have that client section also. See, this is that client. So we required as a Postman client because we have to generate a key from that Postman, so that we have to create it over here. And also we have that weather web, which is we use once we have implemented a weather, once we have to implement in our web application. But we have, actually currently we will use another one which is web API. Okay, so we have to use that web API. So if you go down, yeah, this is that one. So these two client actually we required, one is that Postman, one is that weather API. Okay, and similar we have other things also. So you can just use as a default this one, right? So that you can easily understand, okay, how actually working. So once you understand that how actually flow working, then don't worry, in upcoming session we'll just create like manually how we can just create those client, realm client and scope manually one by one. Okay, so yeah, just import this file over here, that's it. Okay, which have that all that realm and corresponding client scope and all, right? So once you're done, now save it. Now go back to your app host project and save it. That's it. Okay, so once it's done, now your configuration, key lock configuration has been completed. Okay, which have that password, username and password, and also import file. So what would be the next step? What next step would be, this key lock actually we have to integrate in our here. Okay, means our API application. Okay, so how we can do that? Simply, whatever that key clock, actually key clock we are storing as of here, so I can just use that with reference and wait for that. Okay, so that until just ready our our hosting, that key clock hosting, so it should not be start. Okay, so this is the dependency we have to set in our here. So once you're done, now we have to go to our API application. Okay, so now go to that your API application. Where is our API application? This is my API service, which is our API application. Go to that program.cs file, and here you can see we have the default weather API forecast, which does not have any required parameter. Okay, means that required authentication parameter, required any authentication. okay, which is anonymous user can access that. So that we have to implement, right? So for that, what you can do, you have to implement, right? So for that implement perspective, so we need one package in our API service over here, so which is called, go to that package, and once you search this one, see, Aspire Keylock Authentication. Okay, so just install that also here, install, apply, accept. So once you're done, now see it here also is a there is a documentation over here, so you can just refer the documentation over there. So I'll just use this one. So once you're done, now go back to your program.cs file. Here we have to configure that authentication. Okay, so before that, build your app service. Okay, so here we have to configure here, so that we can ensure, okay, whatever audience and all, whatever token actually we are getting, so they are a valid token using our client and audience and all, right? So for that, we have to use this builder.app service using this extension method, add authentication method. Okay, and in this add authentication method, we have another extension method which we have to use this. Okay, so add key clock wearer token. Okay, in this add key clock wearer token, we have to set what is the service name. So what is our service name? Our service name is Keycloak. Where is coming from? It is coming from whatever service you are just putting over here. So that service name you have to share it over here. Then what is the realm name? Okay, so what is the my realm name? My realm is weather shop, right? Where it is, so which we already import as a file over here. I think I already opened it. Yeah, so see, there is my realm name. So this is realm name, we have to refer over here. So what is the realm name? So we have to use that. And next, like configuration, like your audience and all, right? So for that configuration, so there is a property, is a configuration. So let me use this configuration. Okay, so there is a property also configuration, which I use the lambda expression, and in this lambda expression actually there is a property audience. So which audience you want to use it, like which client you want to use. So I want to use this better API client, right? Where is it? It is available in my here. Okay, in this realm, under this realm, actually I already shown you, but let me show it again. So if you go down, yeah, so this is that client name. Okay, so this client name we have to refer in your here, so that whatever API actually will create, whatever token will create using this client, it can validate. Okay, and then lastly, one more important part over here in this configuration. So you have to just set, okay, if it is development, so just required HTTP metadata is false, because see, if it is production, so you have to use the metadata HTTPS, but in local actually it does not work. So for working actually you have to install the certificate and all, but currently we don't have as of now. So you can just use this configuration so that it can avoid HTTP security. Okay, so just leave it that now, and that's it. Okay, so this is that configuration you have to do in your API side, so that whatever token will be generated, it can validate over here. Now another extension method, actually you have to do that. So add authentication builder. Okay, so now lastly you have to just use this authentication builder, so that it can enable to add authentication, right? And once you're done, now you are good to go to protect your any endpoints. Okay, like for example this one. Okay, so this one I can simply just use required authentication, right? So let me just protect this required authentication. Now your API is protected over here, right? So save it, and once you save it, now I think we are pretty much good. So now, so let me run this application actually first. So let me run this. So once you run, now what will happen, now whatever actually your import file, they will just import and create all that realms and corresponding client. So you can able to see over here, see this key client, and if you go to that console log, so now they will start it over here, and you can see this log. See, they just try to import your data from here, like this is the our file. So they will just import it the data and they will add it over here, right? So just trying to add all the data whatever we have in this file, so just create it over here. So once you create it, we will now see it's got created. So once you create it, now go back to your application, and in here let me admin and change to admin and sign in. So once you sign in, now see I'm not able to admin. Okay, so I'm not able to logged in just because, let me check it, what is that current password is stored it over here. So if you see admin and admin, okay, so yeah, it is admin, but I am not able to logged in admin and sign in. Okay, so if this is the case, actually if you are not able to log in, so what you need to do, go back to your Docker, okay, and go to their volumes, and in here see that volume name does not using over here. Why? So let me check one thing. Go back to your app host project, and yeah, I'm using this Keycloak as a volume, but that is not currently using over there. So yeah, what you can do, simply just delete that. Might be it is just keeping that old one, so that's why it's not updated. So yeah, you are not able to do that because your container is running. So first you have to just stop your application. So let me stop, open a container, and just delete that now. Okay, now just delete it. So once you delete it, also you can see there is no container for that, and let me run it again. Because see, first time if you run or using this this volume, so definitely it will store default one. Okay, so that's why it's not updated. So you can just remove that. So once you remove that, yeah, so now I can check again that username and password. Yeah, it looks good. Let me run this container properly. Okay, now my key clock is running properly, so open it and just check to admin and admin sign in. Okay, now see I'm able to logged in, and once you logged in, now go to that manage realm. Now see that import file whatever I just mentioned realm, so this is my realm. And also once you click this one, so now see current realm it's just set to better shop instead of master. Okay, so now you can just check it over here. Yeah, current one is your one, and once you selected your one, so now corresponding realm you can see your clients. So click on the client. Now see this is just whatever client that file it is available over here, like Postman and better API, better web, and also our API client over here, so which we have to trying to use it. Okay, so if you go to inside this better web API, see nothing as a important over here, except yeah, nothing is important. Okay, and also we already create a scope which we are trying to use, which is this better all, right? So this is our scope which we trying to use in our in our uh, in our client. Okay, so don't worry, I'll just explain what does mean this client scope in real world. Okay, once we trying to generate a token using the Postman, so that time actually definitely you will get idea, or understand okay what does mean those things. So okay, I think this is good. It is running everything, it's fine. So now go to here your application, and yeah, actually you have to run your application here. So let me run it API application, and in here let me try to open the weather forecast, and you're able to see 401. That is expected because now it's required your token, right? That token actually required in this here, and also you need to authenticate. So now in the come of the picture in your Postman, like, because as of now you just create your API and you have to pass, you have to just access using the Postman or other any RESTful tools which can access your API. So for that actually, to generate a token, so what I can do, I already just create as a client. Okay, so this is my client, right? Postman client. Actually we have to get, if you go to inside that, so see the name is just Postman, nothing. And if you scroll down over here, see this is a redirect URL. Okay, so this is a redirect URL which is providing this Keycloak like OAuth, Postman and callback. So every time it will redirect to this Postman URL, right? And also this is that web origin is set to auth Postman IO and nothing special. Okay, so this is for that Postman setting, so you have to do that. If you do that manually, okay, while you think, okay, I want to generate a token using that Postman, so this setting you have to do that for Postman client. Okay, and if you go to that client scope, and in here these are the scope actually, under here also we have to add that client scope is better colon all scope. Actually how you can add that, simply you can just click on that add, right? And if you go to, I think there is a no option over here, but yeah, you can just create go to that client scope, click this. Okay, so you have to just create that, not worry. So you have to just configure, right? So for configuration, it just create a over here that is scope, right? So once you create a scope, like for example I just created this scope, so go to inside that and mapping. So once you mapping, now see it's just mapping for better API audience, right? So if you just create a first time, so definitely you can do that by configuration, and you have to choose this audience. Okay, and so once you choose this audience, you can just select it, which scope you want to use it, right? So here this audience, so if you just expand this, so you are able to see all that scope is available over here, like which client actually you want to refer over this audience, right? So you just use this better API, right? So just using that better API client in this Postman scope, so that once you create any token using this Postman client, so it will consider another better client audience as well. Okay, so that's how actually working. So now moving to that Postman, how we can using this Postman client to create your token and access that area API. So open it Postman. Okay, and using any new request over here, right? And if you go to authorization section, you're able to see couple of types over there. So you have to use auth02, right? And also by default is providing this request header. Okay, nothing special. And if you scroll down, there's a mechanism actually configuration option and advanced option. So you have to use the configuration option, and then here see, so this is optional, right? So you can just mention whatever name. So I just mentioned my token. And now grant type, so this is a very important part. So that grant type, actually you have to use this authorization code with PKEC. Okay, not without PKEC. Okay, so you have to use with the PKEC. And next things, you have to add this URL like auth URL. So where you can get this auth URL, so see I am getting this auth URL, I'm just mentioned this over here, but where you can get this auth URL and access token URL, this two information, right? So if you go back to your here, right? So in this section, in this your key clock in hosting environment, you can able to see realm settings. So go to that realm settings, and in this realm settings there's a open id endpoint configuration over here. So once you click that, see once you click, you are getting that get request. So once you get that request, you are able to get all that information. Actually here, actually I need to get this auth token and that access token, access URL. Okay, so you can just simply use this, go back to your any new request, and just simply hit that. Okay, so once you hit that, now see, this is your authorization endpoint, right? And this is your token endpoint. So this two URL you need it, right? Once you create it, so now you can just copy for auth URL, copy this one and go back to here to pass this URL from here, right? And similar, copy this token endpoint, copy this and go back to here, pass it to this access token URL over here. That's it. Okay, this two URL you have to pass it over here, and then your client ID. So what is your client ID? Your client ID is, go back to here, go to that client ID is this Postman, because we have to create token from this Postman client. So just copy this and go back to here, pass it to your client ID is a Postman. Okay, and there's one more important part. See, client secret. So you have to just leave it as a client secret as of over here. You don't need to do anything, and this is a default setting, so you can use it SHA-256. And this is that main important part, scope. So you have to set your scope over here, right? So which we have just create our scope, right? Whether, so what kind of scope for this endpoint, right? So we have to mention, okay, I have to access everything, like read, write, everything, right? So that's why we mention whether all. And where is your scope? If you go back to your Keycloak, right? And in here, go to this, go to that key scope, and this is that scope, right? Which we just created over here, and the scope section. So go to that scope section. See, I just created the scope, and inside the scope I just mention our client over there, like whatever that client, audience client, right? So like this way, actually you have to just mention whatever is scope. So just use this scope over here, right? And that's it. Okay, and one more things actually over here. So yeah, you have to use this, send the basic auth header instead of client credential in body. So once you done this, okay, so let me just create a get token. So once you click the get token, now see, it will redirect to this page, right? Which is just asking to just pass that username and password. But currently I don't have any user and all. So if you go to that user section, now see, there's a no user. So one way, actually, ideally you can just create that user directly over here, like username and password. You can generate a username, password and their credential. And also there's a flexibility on here, you can just register as well. So as of now I don't have, so what I'll do, I'll just create a new one. So let me use that KKP. Password would be something test @123. Same things I can just use here, 123. Email, just use as of now default email. And name is Karthik and Kumar. Okay, and simple you can just register. So once you register, now see, authentication got completed. If you go back here in user section, now see, this new user got created also over here, and based on this creation, see, I'm getting the token. So this is token, actually we have to just check it, actually what kind of things actually just created. So go copy this token and go to JWT JWT. So go to this official website, and in here let me paste your token. So once you paste your token, now see, the header, actually they're using this whatever the type, right? And here, and this is just actually the payload section. In this payload section, this is important. So audience, so this audience should be created, like audience would be your weather API client, right? So if it is not available over here, that means you are not a valid token, right? Because this audience is record which client actually you are refer, right? And then also see other things also, they using that access whatever role currently you can access over here. Origin is over here, this is a Postman, right? Whatever the client. And yeah, I think this is pretty much good. And also this information, like whatever username and password, not a password, like username and email address and all, actually you can see in your token. and also see this is your signature, whatever signature. So like this way actually your token is generated. So once you generate it, now we will try to access that API, it is working or not. So just use this token, and once you use this token, now I just set this token is over here, and once you send over here, okay, so yeah, basically see this is the problem actually. So this is not a right what do you say, not a right port number, right? So go back to your API, and yeah, so my API port is 5318. Okay, so let me copy this, go back to 53. So just change it to your port, because I just previously demos port was there. So let me just change it and just hit enter. So once you hit enter, now see you are able to get that data, right? So this is fine, right? So now you are able to get, and even if you can check, okay, if you pass that wrong token, so how actually it is working or not, right? So that you can just check it over here. So just change anything over here and just hit enter. Now see 401, that means it is required that valid token only, right? Without valid token it should not be now I undo that my changes, and then I'm getting that properly response, right? With authentication response. So that how actually you can just create your token using that Postman client, right? And that's how actually you can just configure and you can get that token. And yeah, for further actually we will integrate more few more endpoints. Okay, so like for example, as I show the demo, like that complete product CRUD operation, so that we will implement, and also we will authorize over here, so that in upcoming session we can utilize that as a role based authentication, right? Because in the role, so only few API can access and few APIs does not, like that way. Okay, so for that what I can do, there is a two way actually. Ideally you can just directly integrate your API using that scaffolding, but I want to just create a directly over here. So for that, simply I just create a new class over here and just create a this endpoint, like product endpoint CS file, and in here I just make it the changes over here. So let me just change this to this. Okay, and don't worry, I'll just explain that what does mean it. Okay, and also let me just create this class like product as a model class over here. Let me create a product model class, and yeah, it is pretty much good. Copy that product informations. Okay, ID, name, price and all. Okay, that's cool. So now see, I'm just using this in memory data over here in this product endpoint, and it is just mapping. I'm just using this extension method. We'll use that extension because this is static. So map endpoint, and this is that main URI, route URI of that array, and this is that get endpoints, all that get endpoints, and this is get by the here, and also see we have that authorize record authorize section, right? And all that endpoint like actually put endpoint, post endpoint and delete endpoint, right? So these are endpoint actually just prepare over here, and now we have to use this in our main class. Okay, program.cs class. So that extension we have to use over there. So like using this map endpoints. Before that, yeah, here I can use that map endpoints. That's it. Okay, so now all that endpoint is ready, and also actually I'll just add a swagger so that you can see all that endpoints as well. So that for swagger actually simply I can use a swagger package. So let me use that swagger package over here. Manage go to here, just add that Swagger package, just install that, apply that. Okay, now Swagger package is done. Now moving back to your program.cs file, in this section we can simply use our Swagger. That's it. Okay, so I think this is pretty much good for Swagger. Yeah, now run this application. Okay, now it's look like it's running, so let me run it. Okay, and yeah, if you access directly over here as a weather forecast, you are able to 040, but once you use as a Swagger, okay, my mistake, I just put that additionally dot. Yeah, so see, in the Swagger you are able to see all that endpoints is available, and if you're trying to get access, definitely you will get 401. That is expected. Okay, so now our endpoint is ready, and now we have to test using that here. And now actually this is one thing actually I want to show you. If you minimize everything, I have that practical example like how actually working. Okay, so let me open as a diagram which is providing the keycloak, and now I will show you in real world actually how it's working, this complete diagram. Okay, so this is your API. Okay, and this is your keycloak, and this is your backend, and this is your browser. Okay, browser means in your client side application, like might be your Postman, or might be your web application browser running in the web application. Okay, so this is way actually they're trying to authentication login, right? So how we can send the request? So send the request, you open a Postman, right? And in this Postman, this is way, and once you get new access token, right? So once you send this request and using this complete over here, so it will redirect to go to that here. Okay, and it will go to send this, from the backend actually send to that keylock, and keylock login UX. Okay, they will provide the login UX redirect to back it over here. So as like for example, let me show you, like once I just clear out and click on that. So once you click on that, now see it is sent to this, right? And they just get that login UX and redirect to you to as a here. Okay, so as like here, right? So once you now see next what happened, now once you come here, now you just add your login and password. So once you add a login and password, now say again this request access the token, so it will send that request again to that keylock. Okay, and they will get back to, if it is valid, so it will get back to you as a access token. So how you are getting the access token? So let me show you. So let me add my username, so kkp, and that password what was test at the rate 123. So now see, once you validate over here, so now actually once you sign in, so it will asking to request access token, right? So if it is validated, so it will return back to access token. So sign in, once you sign in, now see it is invalid, right? So it is not returning back to the access token. So I think I just wrong password edit. So 123, let me check. Yeah, test 123, sign in. Now see, once you sign in back, so it will get that request token. So open in here. Now see, I'm getting that request token, right? So that how actually in here is working, get the request token. But here they store as a browser as of now, but I'm not storing as a browser, I'm storing in another Postman variable over here, right? But in this web application it will store once I using in upcoming session Blazor application or any other application, they will store their local. Okay, as like similar, I'm just storing in this my token over here, just use this token. So now I'm storing in here, right? And the token section, token name and token. And now next what I'm trying to do, it's here, they see simply they asking the request API request with the JWT. So now I'm just sending a request like this weather forecast request using this JWT, send this request. And once you send this request, it is go to our API, and it will just validate here, so which will validate your application. For example, this section, right? So they will validate over here completely, like whatever token they will decode it, and also just okay, just check it, okay, it is valid or not based on your audience and all, right? So if it is validate, so it will get that API data. So that how actually it is getting that API data. So now I'm getting that API data. So this way actually this complete section is working, right, for this API. And same things for that, once you're using that web application, that time also will work the same way. Okay, so I think this is pretty much good. So now we have to test it in our product API. Okay, so for product API again, we have to change my port name. So let me change my port name to this, and once you get this, so see, I'm getting 401 just because of I'm not using that latest token. So let me use this token to my this endpoints using that header section, and just pass it to my token, send back, I'm getting that result. Okay, so currently it's a 2 data. So similar, I want to add a new product using that old token. So once you did, okay, so I think this is not correct. So oh my god, so let me change to this first actually. So this is my current port, change to this, and once you using that old token, it is get 401. But once I use the valid token, using a valid token, paste it, and yeah, send it, I'm getting that new data. This new data is got created. If I just check it over here, that main endpoint, yeah, this new data is got created. And same things we will do for other operation for update. So for update also, let me update this to this, right? But without changing that token, what happened, it is an authentication, that is perfectly fine. But while I'll use this token, valid token, it should be updated properly. So send it, now it's updated, that we can ensure over here. Yes, I just ensure it is properly updated. And now the last things actually we trying to delete. So once you try to delete with this old one, but yeah, let me change to this first, or change this. And once you try to delete, yeah, an authentication. But once you take that valid token and just trying to use this, send. Okay, now it's got deleted, that we can make sure here, yeah, it's got deleted. So that means whatever your new endpoints, everything is looks good using this authentication. So that how actually you can authenticate, right? But in upcoming session, definitely we'll try to use create our web application. In this web application, we will integrate our authentication mechanism, and that authentication mechanism, after that we are getting data from this API. Like see, currently it is just getting the data. See, currently our weather API, it is unauthorized, right? So that's why it's just failing over here. So continue that. Now see, I'm getting that fail over here because that protect API, that API actually authenticated, but currently our web application is does not sending that header and all that current no correct validation token and all. So that we will implement in our upcoming session over here. Yeah, so till now I think that pretty much good for this session. Yeah, one more thing actually, just before close that, let me just push these changes, so that once I take that next session, I'll take that same one, and also you can utilize or you can just use this one as a practice. So let me add that yeah, just key name is same, like this is that my repo name, and make it public and create that. Okay, I think that's all for this session. Thank you, have a nice day, and don't forget to like, subscribe and share.